Okay, hey, Alita Army. Welcome to the Alita live stream of May the 29th, 2026. Zalem as a myth, why it matters more than whether Alita reaches it, where we discuss all things to do with the movie Alita Battle Angel, the source manga Gundam, and the greatly desired sequels. I am your host, Creek Indian from Denver, Colorado, more specifically, Littleton, Colorado. And with me, we have Lee. How's it going, Lee?
Oh, it's going pretty good.
And Lee is from Fountain, Colorado. So we got two Coloradans. And from Brisbane, down there, down under, down, I guess, in Queensland, in near Brisbane, Australia, we have Angelus. How's it going, Angelus?
The source what?
So the what now?
At the beginning of the stream, you said the source something Gundam. I've never heard of this concept before.
Source manga. Did I not say source manga Gundam? I thought I did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Source what?
Oh,
we never
yeah.
talk about that.
Oh, yeah, I see. Yeah, okay. Is there a manga? I don't know. I don't know if there's a manga or not. I heard there was one. So okay, I caught the joke. I'm being slow today, I guess, Angelus. So
that's right. Late, starting to get into the evening for you, and it's early in the morning for me.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway,
my what's the word for it? Part of a joke. My punchline isn't landing, and it isn't registering for you. So, yeah.
Yep. That's right, Smendrick. 6 weeks. That's exactly right. Until Smendrick, Vladi, and I go see our queen in another play. That'll be a lot of fun. And too bad Angelus can't be with us. She'd be surprised even more, I think. And also with us from the Shires there.
Hello.
Is Vladi. How's it going, Vladi?
Hi, guys. Not too bad. It's been very hot.
Hot in England? Are you kidding me?
Hot AF, Creaky.
Oh, I see.
Exactly.
I got it.
The last couple of days it's gotten a bit, I mean, just today actually it's gotten a bit cooler, but every time there's a heat wave we always die because we're just like not equipped for it.
Ah. So, Lee, how are things down there in Fountain?
Better than they were yesterday, or even earlier today. So
Well, Lee and I were talking pre-stream, and he's having some plumbing issues.
I'm having all kinds of issues.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
was trying to get out the front door this morning to get to Lowe's so I could get some more plumbing stuff, and the doorknob stopped working. So I had to bust it open, take it off, get the door open. Actually, no, I had to go over the back fence so I could get out of the house to the car to get to Lowe's to get another doorknob to fix the door.
Lovely.
Surprised your car didn't break on the way.
Pardon?
I'm surprised your car didn't break on the way to Lowe's.
Fortunately, it's in a lot better shape than this house is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I had when I was in North Carolina the last 2 weeks, we had God, I didn't realize I had so much junk in that house. I mean, it's just accumulated over years of living in it,
Mm-hmm.
but just about got it cleaned out. Well, I did.
You must have some proper antiques in there, Creaky.
Well, I did, but my second wife came and got a lot of her stuff out of there, but still had a lot of furniture and stuff like that in there, and I gave a lot of it to the kids, and they got some of it, and that kind of thing. But
did you have anything from when you were born in 1838?
No, I didn't have anything like that, Bloody. I wouldn't be a boomer if I was born in 1838. So, and I would have a lot of trouble with technology, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, but there was a lot of junk in there, and we cleaned out a lot of it, took it to the dump and all that kind of stuff, and then we contacted a local nonprofit there and had them come get. I just donated all the furniture, and it was a lot of it. It's going to be a nice little tax write-off, actually. So in doing that, but still got more stuff in there, but I'm going to hire somebody to get the rest of it out. So anyway. So I guess we won't be doing any more streams from Linville, North Carolina. So, although I do plan on going back to North Carolina. I got 2 kids that live there. So, my second wife lives in Tennessee. So I don't really, I'm not going to really see her. But, the 2 stepkids, who still consider me their stepfather, I enjoy seeing them whenever I go back. I wasn't able to see my youngest stepson because I was so busy cleaning the house out. So anyway, that's that, as they would say. So anyway, Angelus, how's it going in Bris Vegas?
Pretty quiet today.
Ah, that's good. You guys are coming up on winter, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
So our winter is your summer, and your winter Christmas is our summer heat storm.
Yeah, that's right. Not too much snow in the summer. So, Vladi, you looking forward to seeing our queen in 6 weeks?
Oh yeah, definitely. Charlie was like, "You're going in a few days, right?" I think
I saw that.
Nudged me to book a ticket for opening night.
Well, Smendrick's out there. He wanted us to get her a chocolate cake, but that's not going to be. I don't think that's going to be logistically possible because she's going to be.
No, we've got to get her a cake.
Well, I mean, how are we going to get? I mean, we can't give it to her after the play. I mean, maybe we could send her one, to keep.
Yeah, we could send her a little one, like you can send her chocolates, just a little birthday cake. They can eat it backstage.
Yeah, perhaps. We'll see how that goes. All right, guys. I guess we just kind of move on now. Yeah, we still got the LA Fun. Jesus, Gary. LA Fires fundraiser going on, and as you can see, we've raised almost $1,800. And if you got a little extra money, we would appreciate if you could donate. Every dime of this money goes to the fire victims. We do not take a percentage of it or any of that kind of stuff. It's every red cent, as they say here in the U.S. And you can see there's some ways to actually donate. If you don't really care too much about whether your name's in the internet or not, like for instance, Maxie and I and Angelus and I have, we just put our names in there. Lee donated some money, and he specified anonymous, as did Alita Rave. They did as well, but so did Vladi. You know, Vladi. Now his name's not up there because of the way the donations, you know, get listed there. But anyway, Vladi donated some money, and he used his internet handle. And you know, you can do it any way you want. But I'm not sure what the minimum amount is. You know, it certainly is not 1 penny. You know, it wouldn't be that. But you know, it's not a lot. You know, it could be like $10 or 10 euros or whatever it is. You know, so anyway, if you can, we sure would appreciate it, because I think there's something like 6,800 homes damaged or destroyed by that fire, mostly in the Palisades community. So that's you know, that's
buildable by now, surely.
No, last I heard, now it's been a couple of weeks, they were still in recovery. So I mean, they're moving along for sure. You know, I mean, they're not. It's not like it was the day after the fire was, you know, contained. But yeah, that's a lot of homes right there. 6,800 homes. Not all of them were destroyed, of course. You know, but still pretty bad. You know, there. So they're still working on it, and we're going to keep this up until until we figure out whether or not they're, you know, basically if they're done, you know, if they're all recovered and everything, then of course we can take down the fundraiser. So, man, we still got the Alita sequel petition going, and that thing is wrong. What the heck happened there? It's supposed to be. Didn't pick it up. Whoa. It's like 100 and let me go check my other something here, because I'm sure that I know that number's not right.
I haven't got my glasses. What number does it say?
It says 177,000.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah, but it's 178,000, I think, is what it is. So well, now I don't know what it is. So anyway, it looks like when I copied some things over, I missed something. So
maybe we're at 199,000.
Let's see. I'll get out of there, Gary. Let's see here. Let's bring this to the front so I can see it. Yeah, it's 178,000 and something. I'm not sure what it is. And change, but anyway, we still got this thing going. And if anybody out there in the chat, if you would pull that link up, you know, on the website there, let me know how it is. You know, let me know what the number is, because I know that number's not right. I know it's over 100. It's like 178,640 or something like, or 50, something like that. But anyway, if you haven't signed the petition, you do have to enter your name and your email address, but you can specify that as anonymous. So you don't have to actually, you know, put your name. Your name doesn't get displayed. Now, I think when I signed it, I just used my name, you know. But you know, you can even donate to this. They have a little function there that you can click on it, and it, you know, takes you to another part of the website, and you can actually invest in the sequel, which I've done that 2 or 3 times. And it does work. It does drive the numbers up some. But anyway, this is our way of reminding Disney that we want that sequel. As a matter of fact, we don't want just 1 sequel. We want 8 sequels, and we want merch. You know, we want another anime. We want games. You know, we want live action, you know, series. You know, we want all kind of good stuff. You know, and if Disney will just go ahead and you know, if they just go ahead and green light the sequel, we'll be good. You know, I mean, they'll get our money, and we'll turn that money will go right out of our wallets and out of our purses right into their coffers. So anyway, if you can sign it, we'd appreciate it. And we do still have Rosa's Queen Studios bust of Alita. It's still in the box. She knows we have it. So, and she told me she wanted it. So, you know, we're just keeping it there, getting it ready. Right now, it wouldn't be practical to get it to her now because she's still in England. So she, you know, I mean, I can't imagine this thing as big as it is. You know, and it is, it says heavy. It's not, I guess for some folks it might be heavy. I was able to pick it up, but you know, it is sort of heavy. It would cost a lot to ship this to England. If she said though, Gary, will you ship this to England? I'll say, yes, ma'am, I will. If she told me that, you know, but anyway, I suspect we'll do this whenever they greenlight the sequel. And that's probably when she'll want it, you know, when she'll want us to get it to her. But she does know we have it. She hasn't forgotten about it. And I know when we went to see her at the Harold Pinter Theater, you know, we gave her this image actually, you know, just a reminder that we have it, you know, and she knows it. So it's, you know, I don't want to pressure her or anything like that, you know. So, you know, whenever she's ready, we'll get it. If she says, like when she comes back to the U.S., she said, hey, can you drive it down to L.A.? I'll say, yes, ma'am, I can. And I will drive that sucker down to L.A. No problem, you know. And of course, when that happens, Angelus will probably want to fly over just so, you know, I don't get to see Rosa without him being there, you know, or something like that, or to be my security detail. And we still got the Alita Gaming Network going on. And last I checked, I think we had 53 members. I'm not sure. I haven't checked it in the past few days. I did check it one day last week. I do check it from time to time to make sure there's nothing untoward or inappropriate, you know, uploaded there. And the only thing I ever deleted out of here was an advertisement for cryptocurrency. I got that out of there, you know. I mean, it's something.
We don't need cryptocurrency. We need sequels.
Yeah, that's right. So, but I don't need cryptocurrency. I think it's I don't know. It's got a lot of problems with it in terms of, you know, people hustling you out of your money, as they would say. But anyway, if you do live streams, then of course you can, you know, you can put the link to your stream in there. I know that I think I put the link to this stream in there this time. I know Maxie puts the link to Radio Chaos in there. And Chaos Nova, well, when he does streams, he doesn't do streams all the time, but when he does do streams, he does put the link in there, and you know, people can see your yeah, that's right, AKA. I agree with that. We're more ready for the sequel, not for cryptocurrency.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
If you do any kind of fanfics, you know, whether you write you know, a novel length, you know, kind of fanfic like Lee or Maxie has done, you can certainly upload those. Now they have to use links. Yeah, I think Lee, you're on Archive of Our Own, aren't you? I think is where yours is. Or
yeah, Archive of Our Own, as well as fanfiction.net.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
Because I think you've been reading it on fanfiction.net.
Yeah, I've been reading on fanfiction.net when I can get to it. So anyway, I think I'm stuck on chapter 28, you know, but yeah, you know, you can put the link in there because there's a limit to how much content, you know, in terms of size. I think it's like 2,000 characters or something like that. So if you have that situation, then you just put the link, you know, and people can still read it, you know. And I know that Channel does not exist. She's got several short fanfics in there. Panini Freak has got a fanfic in there, and yours truly, The Creek, has got a fanfic in there. So if you want to see new content rather with about Alita, then certainly, you know, you can get into the Alita Gaming Network and go read this content. If you do artwork or videos, you can upload that to the User Creations channel. And if you've got a long video, you're probably going to be looking at putting a link in there as well. I've done that from time to time. If you do something that's not Alita related, any kind of content, you can put that in the off-topic channel. And, you know, I notice that some folks will put some politics in there, but as long as it's not too overtly, you know, about a politician or something like that, then I usually let that slide, you know, but because I want to keep politics away from Alita as much as we can, you know. I mean, I think everybody on this stream knows my political leanings, but you know, it doesn't matter right or left. If I see any kind of overt political content in the off-topic channel, I'm going to delete it. We have 3 voice channels. And in those, you can actually, you know, get into those channels. They're not streamed. Only the people in the Alita Gaming Network can get into those channels. It's not accessible by the internet at large. And if you want to get in there and talk to other people on the gaming network, you just go into the channel. People will see that, you know, that channel is active. They may jump on with you, or you can invite somebody. And this is a little bit like, let's say, Microsoft Teams or Zoom or GoToMeeting or something like this. You know, I think Google Meet is kind of like that as well. And it's not streamed. And you don't have to turn your camera on. You can just use your avatar and get in there and talk. You can share your screen. You can play games. I know Vladi and Smendrick were playing games in the gaming channel, but you can do that in any one of those 3 channels, actually, and share your screen there and just enjoy doing that. We also have watch party. You know, we do watch parties in the Alita Gaming Network. Now, I haven't done one for a while because, for one thing, I've been traveling and stuff like that. But you know, I have done some watch parties. We've watched Alita Battle Angel 3 or 4 times. We've watched Rose's Star Trek short, The Trouble with Edward. We've seen that several times. And we've actually, you know, seen some other stuff she's done, like Chariot. Yeah, that's a good movie. Chariot is. I didn't like the ending. But you know, and that's just a personal thing. It was nothing wrong with the ending in terms of being a movie. I mean, it was a good movie, great movie, but you know, I don't like the way that movie ended. Anyway, you know, we watched Chips, and we even watched her short, which, you know what, we're going to have to do. I know Smendrick's out there. We got to watch her short again. I guess again. Crazy. You know, that'd be kind of neat to do that. Now, I know at one point, you don't need to wait for me to do a watch party, because at one point Lee and Maxie were actually doing a watch party. What is this right here? About good stuff to share for your watch party. Okay, I will check my Discord DMs there, Smendrick. I'll check on that. But anyway, you know, I guess Lee and Maxie were watching Murderbot, and they watched it one week or one Sunday or whatever it was on the weekend, and then I joined the next weekend, so they had to watch the first 2 episodes again so they could tolerate the creek being in there. But I think we took like a couple of maybe 3 weekends. You know, we watched all 8 episodes of Murderbot. It was really good. You know, so if you want to do a watch party and you're a member of the gaming network, then you don't need my permission. You just get into the watch party channel and you can invite some other people in the Alita Gaming Network, and you can watch whatever movie you have, you know. So it's kind of a neat thing, and it doesn't require any kind of administrator access or anything like that. You just get in there and share your screen, and you can watch whatever you want there. There you see the link below our Chibi Alita mascot right there. You click on that, and it takes you to Discord. And if you don't have a Discord username, it'll prompt you for one. And, you know, you don't have to get a paid version or any kind of paid access. You can get the basic access, which works fine. You can do a lot of stuff with the basic access, like sharing your screen and uploading stuff to the game network and stuff like that. Once you join Discord, and you can do that for free, then you can you'll get that invite, you know, after you clicked on that particular link right there, which is down in the description, by the way. You'll get the invite. You click on that, and then you'll become a member of the gaming network, and you can do that for absolutely free. We do not charge any kind of a fee or anything like that to join the Alita Gaming Network. It is free. So, you know, we don't make money on Alita here. You know, this is, for us, this is a labor of love. We don't want to do that. So anyway, at least I don't. So, all right, guys, that's pretty much all I got on that one, I think. Any thoughts about any of the? All right, well, let's move on to the main topic. Now, I picked this topic because it's kind of like complements what we're going to be going over, what we're going to be discussing on Radio Chaos tomorrow. But this is going to be a little bit of a deeper dive here.
What are we discussing tomorrow?
I'm sorry, Vlads?
What are we discussing tomorrow?
Will Alita reach Zalem in Alita 2?
Cool. I swear we did. Or was that the one where we were going to do it, but then we changed to something?
We kept postponing it because, well, one day I guess we kind of commandeered one stream. I guess you and I, and when you and I and Alita Rave went to Austin, you remember we commandeered that stream, took the whole stream. And then another one I had to travel, I think, and so they pushed it off again. But they're finally going to do it tomorrow, on Radio Chaos. So, but this one is going to be more of a, what's behind, her getting to Zalem. So, Zalem is not what it appears. And yes, I do have slides after this. But Zalem is it's kind of like a mystery to a lot of the people on the ground. A very few people, unless you if you're Ego or Shirin, what's up in Zalem. But the average person, the average Iron City citizen, they don't have a clue, what's up in Zalem, and some of them view that as kind of maybe how we would view maybe a super gated community or something like this, the seat of power. That I think in the manga there was even a religion around it. It was almost like heaven, going up to Zalem. And so, it's there's a lot of ways that people look at Zalem in the manga anyway, and probably in the movie as well, And then one thing we are going to discuss is why Alita will reach Zalem. Why I think that particular question is the scope of it needs to be expanded a little bit. Now it says it's too small. I don't think it's too small necessarily. But what I do think is that we want to look at why she would want to get up into Zalem. What is there? So, and what is the impetus for her to get to Zalem? I mean, what is the driving force behind that? We're going to look at Zalem too, and there's a lot of technology up in Zalem that is not down in Iron City, particularly a lot of the cybernetic stuff that they're doing, up there. Now, certainly they do have cyborgs down in Iron City, but I think Zalem has purposely withheld advanced technology from the people in Iron City, and that's they've done that on purpose, actually. And then, of course, what is Alita's actual relationship to Zalem? And you probably know some of that already, in terms of when she was in the military, in the movie verse anyway, was her mission, along with the entire military, to not just destroy Zalem, but to destroy all the floating cities. And Zalem was the only city that remained, undestroyed. The rest of them, I think there was like 12 of them, and 11 of them got taken down. So, and of course, Alita, along with Gelda and that squad we saw going up the supply tube in the movie, they were going up to destroy Zalem. And you can imagine if you had like a dozen or more berserkers that were, if they could get into Zalem, it would be pretty catastrophic, because they are kind of like super, they're kind of like superheroes in some ways. I mean, they got a lot of abilities that, the average human doesn't have.
Super soldiers might be a more accurate description.
Perhaps, except with super soldiers, you mean like Captain America and stuff. Yeah, they have capability, but I think in the case of Alita, and even a lot of the I guess the soldiers or the military types that were in they were more, to me, they were more like metahumans. They weren't, they were way above, they had orders of magnitude abilities above humans.
Well, that's the thing. The term super soldier can refer to any form of highly augmented or enhanced soldier.
Yeah. And she certainly is that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But I've always maintained, you guys have heard me say this, that to me, she's a metahuman, because the word meta just means beyond. And she is orders.
Well, that could be applied to any cyborg too. So
exactly.
I think the terms are basically interchangeable. Been using that
pretty close, I would think. Now, some cyborgs wouldn't be, like, for instance, that if you remember at the beginning of the movie, that one cyborg that was, I guess Ito was looking at his arm, because it wasn't functioning properly or something like that. and he gave him, I guess a bag of oranges or something like that. Yeah. See, I wouldn't see that guy as a metahuman. I mean, he's has a prosthetic on for sure. You know, he has a cybernetic arm that helps him do his job, but I don't see him having the kind of capability that, say, Alita has. You know, Alita, first of all, he wasn't a total replacement cyborg. He was just had an arm, you know. And she is a total replacement cyborg. She's like 98% machine, you know. So I think in her case, with the capabilities she has, you know, with her, she has superhuman strength. She can run extremely fast, even in her berserker body. And she has that plasma weapon. I mean, that, to me, that is just several levels above even, I guess you would say, the minimum tier super soldier. But yeah, I think you could say she would be a super soldier, because she's certainly that, you know. But I think she's more than that. That's my opinion, anyway. Yeah.
I was most objecting to the terms superhero.
Yeah, she's not a hero. She's not a superhero. She's not that. When I say that term, I think mainly of her capabilities, not as her archetype. You know, yeah, she's not a superhero. I agree with that. You know, she's just
the queen and commander-in-chief of the Alita army.
That's right. She's she's the holder of extreme uwu, right, Angel?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah, I think super soldier's okay. I prefer the metahuman, because super soldiers cannot be metahumans. They can be enhanced, you know, a lot, but you know, they're not. We've had this discussion on other streams, you know, but yeah, you could consider her in a very enhanced human, I think.
She's a cybernetically enhanced human. I mean, it's basically a cyborg.
Yeah,
they're an enhanced human.
That's right. So anyway, she's quite powerful, you know. So yeah, but getting back to that original point there, where her relationship with Zalem, when her and that squad, I guess it started out being almost like a platoon, and then half of them got wiped out when the defense ring came down. The rest of them were shooting at it, you know. So you could imagine, you know, maybe a couple of squads of these berserkers, you know, get up into a city like Zalem. They could wreak havoc. As a matter of fact, it'd bring Zalem to their knees, you know, because there may be cyborgs, you know, that maybe have the capability, like, say, maybe Zapan or somebody like that. But I think a cyborg like, you know, Alita is, I think she's just way above Zapan or some of the rest of them. You know, her ability are just way.
Here's a little something to consider. It's how shall I put it? All right, I am nitpicking quite a bit, considering it, and still my favorite movie, of course. But considering how fast the defense rings spin,
yeah,
when they were shooting at it and it did break off, it broke off at a certain point. Now, do you reckon it was because of focused fire, or was it just like a pressured fracture in the actual defense ring itself?
Could have been a combination of both, I think. You know, I mean, you know, any kind of thing you build might have,
because like as it was coming down and the spinning, you know, they'd have to like, you know, aim from right to left and then wait for it again, right to left, but they weren't moving. They were just like sort of keeping the rifle still and just firing at it as it was spinning. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, I agree. I think probably the defense ring, you know, they were shooting at it with plasma rifles. So I mean, you know, plasma is pretty freaking hot, you know, and it probably several of the shots, several of the shots probably hit a weak point or something. You know, I mean, it's not going to be.
Well, considering it was spinning, it was probably the shots were hitting and creating multiple weak points.
Yeah, that's right. It was creating them. Plus, there was it was probably already some inherent weak points too. I mean, not that they would build that in on purpose, but you know, when you build something, it's not going to be, uniform in terms of
It's like
across the entire thing. You know, they may have had, you know, there may have been some area in there where the metal was not quite as, you know, resistance to plasma as others, and they got several hits on it, and they were shooting a lot of plasma at it, you know, and it, you know, they probably hit it, and that's what broke it apart, I think. So
like the exhaust port of the Death Star sort of thing. It's like something like obviously the engineers might not have considered a weakness at the time.
yeah,
When they were designing the defense ring, you know, they weren't exactly thinking, well, someone might be shooting plasma bolts at it, so
yeah,
we better
exactly.
like make it out of a metal that's like got a higher melting point or something. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was, remember that I think in the manga, those defense rings were to keep like vermin from getting up into Zalem, and people for that matter. And they, to your point, Angel, they probably weren't anticipating, you know, a squad of berserkers coming up firing, you know, plasma weapons at it.
Yeah.
You know, so that, and it probably went beyond its design, you know, force resistance or something like that. You know, so. But anyway, we're going to ask a couple of questions, you know, toward the end of the stream about the nature of Alita going up to Zalem. And then another thing we're going to look at is that, you know, since people have various concepts about Zalem itself, you know, they'll form these, I guess, they'll form these kind of preconceived ideas about what's in Zalem. And what's up in Zalem, you know, they don't know what it is, but in an attempt to try to explain what's up there, they'll probably come up, you know, with some maybe speculation, you know, let's say, or some other story about what they think is up in Zalem. And to them, a lot of those folks, Zalem, what they think about Zalem would be more or less factual, since they don't have any other information. And certainly Zalem doesn't let anybody come up there, you know, to visit or anything like that. Don't even allow family members from the surface to go up there. So anyway, this is kind of what we're going to go over today. Any thoughts, you guys?
Yeah, not yet.
The last thought I had, we went off on a tangent, so I'll hold it off for now.
Yeah. Well, it says, you know, Zalem is the ultimate Rorschach test. I mean, basically what that means is that, you know, you look at Zalem, let's say, now we know Zalem is a fictitious city for sure, you know, but floating city, but you look at it, and if you ever take a Rorschach, if you've ever taken that test, I'm not sure psychologists use it that much anymore, but they will show you like a picture, you know, of something to see what pattern forms in your mind, and it kind of gives them the idea of your kind of mental process.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, go ahead, Claudia.
Normally a butterfly or something symmetrical, isn't it?
Yeah, butterfly, or maybe they put up some kind of, what's an ink blot type thing, and they see if you see a face in it, or you see whatever, another object. It kind of gives them an insight how your mental process works, I guess. Well, you know, Zalem is kind of similar. People see Zalem up there, and they form these concepts about what's in Zalem. You know, and everybody will have their own concept. You know, when they look up and see Zalem, there'll be a lot of different concepts of it. And if you remember from the manga, basically there was a religion around Zalem, you know, almost like Christianity in some ways, I guess, you know, because they couldn't get up there, and it was a mystery to them and that sort of thing, you know. So in a very real way, for some people, like say Hugo, he wanted to get up there because in his mind, things were a lot better in Zalem than they were in Iron City. Now, for those of us who read the manga, we find out that's not necessarily true, you know, but these people on the ground, they don't know this, you know, they just see Zalem up there, and it looks great, you know, it's like a jewel in the sky, and they form these concepts. Some other people might fear it a lot by saying, hey, look, what's up in Zalem? You know, maybe they say, well, they've got, some kind of military, or they got some kind of enforcers or something like that up there that could, come down here and, really take it out on us, that kind of thing. And then other folks will see Zalem strictly for what it basically is, since, the supply tubes, they send all the supplies up to Zalem. And, Zalem, does, kind of support them in ways, and withholding technology be one of the things. They don't give them everything, but as a means of control over the people on the surface. And they know that whoever's up in Zalem is kind of running what goes on on the surface or in Iron City. So what do you guys, what's your takes on it? What do you think, Lee? Does this kind of match anything you think about Zalem when you read the manga or see the movie?
Yeah, it makes sense that people over centuries would start mythologizing something like that. I mean, you've got this high up place that looks, especially in the movie, the way it looks, it's all, gilded looking and everything.
Yeah.
And you start thinking that it's, this quasi mystical heaven or something.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, you remember when Alita and Hugo went at the top of the church and were looking up there, and Alita says, I wonder what's up there. And he says, I wonder what it's like up there, I think is what she said. And he said, better than this dump down here. Well, he doesn't know. I mean, he knows that they have a dump down there, but he don't know what's up there. So in his mind, he's already projected the fact that whatever's up in Zalem is better than what's down here.
Yeah. Not to mention, it was also that thing where she mentions that they don't let anybody up there. And he says, well, that's what they want you to think. So
Yeah.
people start to make up these things where there are ways to get around this rule, even though there aren't any ways to get around it. People start trying to, rationalize various loopholes and things that they can try to come up with to get up to these hopefully better place if they just, do a certain thing or act a certain way or take a certain course of or go through a certain course of actions or something.
Yeah. Well, in their mind, it does that.
Yeah.
And that's right. And then with Hugo, he just thought he could buy his way up there, didn't he? I mean, yeah, he didn't. I don't think he saw it as something he had to do, anything he had to do. He just had to get enough money, I think, is in his mind.
Well, he just had to know the right person. And to him, the right person was
Vector, yeah.
Vector, yeah. Vector basically played on his desire to get up there and told him what he wanted to hear, made him believe he'd be able to do it, just to get him to work on Vector's behalf. And so he bought into that.
Well, he did.
He wanted it that badly.
He did. But I will say one thing about Vector in his defense, not that I think he should be defended, because he's a pretty awful person in the movie anyway. But, and in the manga, he's an awful person, him, and even in the anime, he's an awful person. But if you remember when he and Hugo had a drink together, he was almost saying, hey, I like your drive, Hugo. You could be on my team or something like that.
Yeah, he tried to basically talk him out of it.
Yeah, and so I think, I think he kind of, for him, I think
he saw Hugo as useful.
Yeah, and he wanted to keep it. That's right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's right.
I mean, Hugo was able to get things done, and he wanted, people on under his employ who could get things done, who were capable, and Hugo was that.
He saw Hugo as the rest of us see him, as a tool.
Yes.
Get it? Tool.
Yes.
The other
yes.
metaphor.
I swear, Angelus, you're a dad. You got to be a dad somewhere. Anyway, hello, Chaos. How's things north of Philly?
All right.
Cool. Let's see what Chaos has here. Oh, okay. His audio. He's working on his audio. Okay. Well, anyway, Chaos, if you can hear me, I mean, if you got something going on your channel, just put it in the private chat. I'll put it in the public chat. So I think the main thing here is that, well, it says Zalem's not a place. It absolutely is a place, but it's more like, to the people in Iron City, it's more like something that some of them may try to attain, others might try to fear, others might hate, but it's more than just a floating city to these people. You know, it's kind of an object of whatever concepts they have in their brain about, you know, Zalem itself.
Yeah. A symbol of, you know, maybe some sort of oppression.
Yes.
I mean, it's basically a lid on Iron City.
It is.
From a certain point of view.
Yeah. Well, they do kind of, you know, they kind of put it on the folks in Iron City. If you remember, there was that one thing when Ito was kind of, you know, giving Alita a tour, you know, he said everybody down here basically works for Zalem, you know. Yeah,
everything that is produced in Iron City, the medicine, the foods, furniture, clothing, all that stuff, all the high quality good stuff gets produced strictly for Zalem.
Yes.
You might have some of the wealthier individuals down in Iron City who are able to maybe purchase some cast-offs or something like that, or maybe they're able to. Now, I guess there would be high-end production facility, but basically, all the stuff that gets produced, medicines and everything, like generally gets taken by Zalem for their own use.
Yeah.
And denied to Iron City.
Yeah, and Iron City gets the scraps.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they can.
Although there is enough of the, I mean, if you look at the kind of things that, like Vector had, for instance, the nice suits and all that stuff, I imagine there are businesses down there that are actually able to create some good quality items. But again, you have these wealthier individuals in Iron City who hoard it for themselves.
Yeah. And everybody else.
Gerhard was even mentioning in the novelization that it was referenced that the hospital, apparently Iron City has an actual hospital, maybe even more than one, at least one that she worked at.
Yeah.
And they are constantly short on medicines. They usually have to turn to street drugs in place of painkillers and things because they can't even get enough of those for people.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we know that Zalem and Iron City do not exist. We know that's fictional. So, and what did you just walk into? Well, you just walked into folks that, you know, love Alita and we want to see, basically. So, yeah, Zalem doesn't really exist. That's for sure. You know. Yeah, we do agree with that.
Very obvious.
Yeah. Oh, we lost Chaos. Whoa.
I might have had to go get something taken care of.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe he'll be back.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, with the Zalem itself, you know, I mean, I think we kind of touched on it. People may have different concepts of Zalem. And if you remember in the manga, I think there was a mention of I think it was maybe a religion or something that was almost treated Zalem, you know, or Teferis in the manga as like heaven. You know, I mean, it's a place that you want to try to strive to get to.
I imagine most everybody in Iron City who hasn't been there is probably going to see it mostly as that, as some place that is just above and better than the quality of the place that they're currently in.
Yes.
Which, admittedly, in Iron City is not a high bar to get over.
No, it's not a very high bar at all, you know. But some people like Hugo, to them, you know, Iron City, I think they've got a false impression of it that they've formed in their mind. And
it's like a utopia or a paradise.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he says better than this dump down here. Well, he doesn't know that. You know, I mean, he's formed this opinion of it or this concept of it, and he's running with it. You know, and so he collected almost 1 million credits. He was 90,000 credits short of 1 million, which he thought would get him up into Zalem. And of course, we know that was a lie because Vector said the only way anybody gets to Zalem, you know, is if they're hacked to bits, like I guess Shirin was or something like that, you know. And of course, some people think of Zalem as hell. And I don't know about hell, but you know, for Ito, well, Shirin wanted to get back to Zalem, you know, so for her, I don't know if you could say it was hell, but I do think they would have maybe an axe to grind, because if you remember in the movie, not so much in the manga is different, but in the movie, they were exiled from Zalem because their daughter was, had some congenital birth defect.
She wasn't genetically pure or something along those lines.
Yeah, something along those lines.
She was genetically defective.
Yes.
He was kicked out of heaven.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Ito saw it a bit differently than Shiren.
Yeah.
Shiren, even with the surveillance and the engineered hierarchy and all that, I think she still saw it as just a better place than the city that murdered her daughter.
Yes. Well, probably Ito thought that too, by the way.
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
Yeah, or at least was one of the reasons why his daughter got murdered. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I think he was also realistic, or he was enough of a realist to not try to compromise himself or sell his soul, as it were, to try to buy his way back the way Shiren was willing to.
Yeah. Yeah, you see that word surveillance there too. If you remember when I guess it was when I guess Gruishka, was hanging up there on that he was being worked on by Shiren or something like that.
In her workshop lab.
Yeah, in her workshop, yeah. Or lab or whatever. And he told her there were watchers behind the eyes all over the city. So to me, a lot of people probably in Iron City that didn't have this kind of a view of Zalem being a utopia, they probably thought of it as more of a, these people are, controlling us. They're, taking advantage of us, whatever.
There's graffiti. There's like anti-Zalem graffiti everywhere. It's
Yes,
still there.
maybe.
We saw that in Iron City. Remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're like, the sort of like all-powering Illuminati type thing. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Vector, I don't know if Vector knew what was up in Zalem or not, so I don't know if he would consider it a lie. But what he saw it as a means to manipulate people. Now, he was, to a degree, even though he tried to get Hugo on his team and not to go to Zalem, he still used Hugo's concept of Zalem as a means to manipulate him, I think. Because he was, I guess he was, well, first of all, he was a puppet, I guess, for Nova, Chairman Nova anyway. And, I guess he would, Vector might have some ideas about Zalem being a source of control because he was being controlled. But I think with him, for him, it was more of a means for he could maintain his station, or wherever he was, there in Iron City, because he was pretty well off in Iron City. He said, as he told Hugo, down here we can live like kings,
Mm-hmm.
and he was already living like a king as it was, So anyway, and then of course Zalem is a mirror. Now to Alita, I don't know about a mirror so much as I guess you would say that for her it would be something that she would need to experience in such a way that she can figure out who she was, in a prior life. I mean, she does. Remember, if you remember in the movie, of course, she just lost her memory and all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, seeing Zalem up there, and then, of course, if you remember, Hugo said that you must be from up there because if you were found in the scrapyard, you were up in Zalem. That was probably the first piece of information she got that maybe told her, hey, I'm going to need to get to Zalem eventually if I'm going to figure out who I am.
There are answers up there.
Yes. So, for her, it is a reflection of her unresolved past, of who she is. Now she doesn't know what happened up there when she got up there because she lost her memory. But if you remember from the manga, she was captured and thrown over the side. You know, I don't know if it was in Zalem or if it was from Jeru. She got
in the manga. It was in, I guess, Jeru,
yeah,
the upper city.
yeah, yeah. The I
Yeah,
guess
because it was up in orbit where they did that mission to try and destroy it.
yeah, yeah,
Like on a like symbolic level, obviously, Zalem and like Jera sort of represents the like a ladder to the divine sort of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's kind of the way.
And,
Yeah,
like Jeru and then Zalem because like Jerusalem.
yeah. Well, I mean, and people. I don't know how many people down in Iron City would know of Jeru. I
From
mean,
what I understand, nobody down
Like,
there knows about the upper city.
yeah. I mean, if they paid attention, they could probably see a star that stayed in the same place in the sky every night.
Yeah.
they
Well,
paid-
Hugo was aware of that. I mean,
Yeah,
he
Hugo definitely was.
that was actually in the novelization one of the reasons he wanted to get up there, because there were so many things he had these questions about, and he wanted to know more about the world beyond just Iron City, and that star sort of represented some of that extra horizon he wanted to get out to and try to explore, to get beyond the limitations of what he was born into, sort of.
Yeah. Well, in I guess in the manga, and they touched on a little bit in the anime as well. His brother or his father died. He was worked in the factory.
Yeah, in the manga it was his brother.
Yeah, his brother got killed.
He did like shit in the factory too, right? And then his brother died trying to get to
His
Zalem.
brother died because of the balloon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the balloon.
And I think his mother just left him too, didn't she? If I remember correctly.
Things didn't go well for the Hugo family, unfortunately.
No, they did not.
Yeah.
So you know, Hugo had it pretty bad there early on. Probably was a street urchin the whole time, you know, until he got up a little bit older and he could start, you know, earning a living or something as a jacker, you know. But
yeah, exactly. That's why I don't hate him like a lot of people. He's just like it's a shitty world there. What can you do?
He's a product of his environment.
yes.
Yeah, he's no doubt, from what I understand too, he was actually probably one of the nicer guys involved in the kind of jacking business he was involved in.
Yeah.
Ever killed anyone?
Yeah, usually the jackers weren't very nice. They just, you know.
Yeah, I mean, granted, he wasn't real nice either, but I think he was
Vector
actually
finished him. Vector
Yeah.
finished it and told Hugo to go, and he finished it himself.
Oh, yeah.
With the
Well, that was that
blowtorch.
one specific guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if he did that any more times.
there might have been a few that he had to get rid of, but I think
Yeah.
that
Well,
was
Vector in the manga told Hugo, you know, you shouldn't leave a witness behind.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, because he killed that guy, didn't he? Chaos
He
that
did,
one
with the
guy.
axe, yeah. But
Yeah.
Vector was warning Hugo. It's like, I know you don't want to hurt this guy, but if there's a witness, you're gone.
Yeah.
So Hugo
Vector,
at least wasn't
Vector
willing to
probably-
finish it, but Vector did.
Yeah.
Vector probably would have given Hugo like people to jack that he also needed to kill too. So like Hugo did the hard work, and he just comes in and finishes them off.
Well, Hugo was also jacking cyborgs to give the parts to the motorball.
Yeah, working for Vector.
Yeah.
no, that's how he was making a lot of his money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he made a lot of money. I mean, I don't know how one credit translates over to $1 or €1. I don't know about that, but
Yeah, it's difficult to get a handle on just what the value is compared to what you can buy with it.
yeah.
That
I
would
guess-
be a purchasing power.
Yeah.
They call
Basically,
But 1 million of anything is pretty good, and he was almost there, wasn't he? He was with 90,000 of it, I guess. And I think it was different in the manga, though, wasn't it? How many credits was in the manga? I don't remember.
I can't remember.
Yeah, it was a pretty significant amount, though.
Yeah. Whatever the amount was, it was going to be enough that Vector didn't think he would ever be able to earn it all.
Yeah. So anyway, and of course, Vector knew he wasn't going to get up to Zalem anyway, because there was only one way anybody ever got to Zalem.
Yep.
So, you know. AKA said it was 10 million chips. Okay, that, yeah. And I think Hugo was like or Yugo, as they say in the manga. He was like 300,000 short, was it, or something like that?
He was basically almost there.
He was almost there in both cases. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
So anyway, a lot of these folks down in Iron City, and not in Iron City, I mean, way out in the farms and in the Badlands, you know, you could see the Zalem from a pretty far away. You know, I mean, that thing,
It is very visible. Yes.
yeah, I mean,
that is not a thin space elevator either. That's a thick one.
Yeah. Well, I did a calculation on how big, or how, you know, how wide Zalem was. The diameter was like 5 miles, which is what, like 8 kilometers or something like that. Bad man, if you're out, I don't know,
about 7 or 8 kilometers.
Yeah, something like
well,
that.
Unit converter. Let's look at it right now. Unit
Yeah,
converter. I'll bring it to my screen in a minute.
Okay, and then it was like 2 miles up off, you know, altitude. Maybe
Okay,
3.
I have it right here. So if you say 5 miles,
yeah, roughly.
how many?
Roughly.
I'll do it to kilometers here.
That's about 8 kilometers, I think, 7 to 8.
Yeah,
kilometers.
here. Yeah, I've got it here. 8.04672 kilometers.
Whoa, pretty close. How high?
Yeah.
What's the altitude of it? Because I calculated 2 miles, which was
That's
about
the width.
3.
So
Yeah,
let's
the width.
try this. 3.21 kilometers.
Okay.
I know it's 1,600 meters per mile, so it gets a little odd.
Yeah, so I was pretty close on my estimate, I guess. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's visible from a long way. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been to Denver. I know Lee has. You can see Denver, you know, from quite a ways away. You know, I mean, you can see it. You know, I'm like where I am. I'm probably, as the crow flies, as they would say, I'm probably 10 to 12 miles from Denver, and you can see it clearly. It's not.
How far is the Denver airport from Denver?
From where I am?
That's where I went. Yeah, I went to the airport on partway on a connecting flight.
Yeah, I would guess probably 15 miles. That'd be my guess. You know, somewhere in that area. It's northeast of Denver. The airport is so.
Okay.
And another thing too about in terms of being able to see something as big as Zalem. Now Zalem, you know, certainly Pikes Peak is a lot bigger than Zalem, but you know, you can see Pikes Peak all the way up in Fort Collins. I mean, and that's over 100 miles. So, you know, and you can see it on a clear day and from the extreme, you know, almost western Kansas, you know, almost. But it's pretty big. But just gives you an idea that probably people all around this location, not just Iron City, but way out in the Badlands, they could see Zalem. And as a matter of fact, you remember the Barjack wanted to, you know, fire that big cannon, you know, that they had that was mounted on rail, you know, freight rail, I guess.
Yeah.
They had that thing. I don't know how big that cannon was, but their idea was to shoot the elevator, you know, and it would.
It's called the hang.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hang cannon. Yeah, that's right. And yeah, well, I guess you had cap locks on there, Angelus. Yes. Yeah. It's all right. But anyway, yeah, and they were going to shoot it, you know, but the Badlands, who knows how far away they were, 20 miles maybe, you know, I don't know, which would be about almost 30 kilometers that they were going to try to shoot this, not 30 kilometers, it'd probably be more like 27 kilometers maybe, something like that, which is a long way, you know, and they were going to shoot that thing. Of course, when they shot at it, it didn't do anything, and the hang cannon got destroyed by the defense system on Zalem, I guess, you know. So
so the field that they have around Zalem, it repels you more the more velocity you have as you approach it. So you have to move slowly at it, or else, but a bullet will be repelled immensely.
Yeah, exactly. And if you move at it slow, you're not going to have enough kinetic energy to do any damage. So, you know, that's the way that's going to work.
Fast. Yeah, fast.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, a lot of people, in Zalem, I mean, rather in Iron City and in the surrounding areas, way out in the Badlands and all that kind of good stuff, they all have different views of Zalem. Some of the folks that are out in the factory farms, as a matter of fact, they probably just viewed Zalem as almost like a client or something, or a customer. They sell food, to them, to them. So they're not going to be, those folks may not look at Zalem as heaven or hell. They'll just look at it as, oh, okay, I'm going to sell, this food that I'm growing to them, and that, I'm just keep it moving, up the supply tubes, sending it to Iron City. So
apparently they're told that the mole people out there are dangerous. Not to everybody, anyways.
Yeah. Well, they're pretty far out too. I think they're in the Badlands, aren't they?
Yeah. They're mostly nocturnal, and they often, a lot of their places are kind of dug out in the mountains, so they're hidden for the most part.
Yeah. Almost like cavemen.
Kind of. There was one of the mole people that was being carried around, but he clearly had like mechanical limbs, but the other guys were the other mole people were picking him up and carrying him. The foreman, anyways.
Okay, so the question: will Alita reach Zalem being too small? And I don't mean that to say that what we're going to be talking about in Radio Chaos is going to be small. Absolutely not, because I do think that eventually Alita will get up to Zalem. And I'll reserve my thoughts on that for tomorrow. But what does it mean for Alita to reach Zalem, or just not care about going to Zalem? What does that mean? And of course, it's kind of like, when you ask a question, you get, you think you're going to get an answer, but that spawns another question, and you keep going. The same thing here. Reaching Zalem is not going to be a climax, and we kind of know that from reading the manga, because we know Cathares or say Jeru is above Zalem. It's up in geosynchronous orbit. So I mean, that's just knowing that, Zalem is not the end in itself, And then of course, what really happens here, and the reason why probably Alita, if she wants to find out who she was, she's probably going to have to get to Zalem to do that, because for one thing, if you remember from the I guess as the novelization, they were driving out in the Badlands. I guess it was Hugo, Alita, Tanji, and Koyomi were driving out there, and they started talking about, for lack of, they didn't word it like this, but the education system there in Iron City, or the school, really didn't teach a lot of stuff like what we would be familiar with today is something you need to learn, like history as an example.
Yeah.
So, Zalem, would have a lot of that kind of, information, I guess, or their schools would probably be a lot better, and that information would probably be up there. So for one thing, if Alita wanted to know who she was, and the fact that, of course, she was captured going up there, she would need to get up there to figure out what happened, or what was going on, And then, of course, that would have all of the information about her, because she probably figures out by the end of or I guess where the manga was, when, after she, I think, after the Zerkerpan arc and going into Badlands and all that stuff, looking for Nova, she probably had an idea at that point, that Zalem, would have some answers for her at that point. When she first wakes up, in Iron City, she has no clue. I mean, she's, as you remember, she runs out of Ito's clinic, looks up, wow, what is that? I mean, she had no clue, So what is this? Yes, that's exactly right, AKA. It would be a repository of information about, I guess the planetary society, that's kind of going around, and not just Mars.
Yeah, getting up there is going to open up more of the worlds above that.
Exactly.
Above that one to her. So it's like Grushka was saying in the movie, there are worlds above worlds.
Yeah, and all of it ends up down here.
The trash from each
Yeah.
flows down to the one below until it all ends up down here.
Yeah.
But yeah, the higher up she goes, the more she's going to realize there's even more
Yeah.
above that one. I have a feeling that just like in the manga, Jeru or Catheres, whatever you want to call it, the city above on the other end of the space elevator is the one actually controlling Zalem. So when she gets up there, she realizes the real power isn't even really in Zalem.
Yeah, it's going to be in Jeru. Yeah. Well, to your point too, Leo, about Gruishka, he did say exactly worlds above worlds above worlds. He was saying Jeru above Zalem above Iron City.
And there may even be a surviving colonies that created some kind of like council, like a UN type council, to try to prevent another interplanetary war.
Yeah.
And that could be another layer above even Jeru.
Yeah. A hierarchical society.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I don't see Zalem as the final gatekeeper. I mean, it's going to have a lot of information that she's going to get. It's going to
be the stepping stone to the wider story.
The next one, yeah, it's going to be a stepping stone to the next one. That's right. So, I think it's like you were saying, Lee. I think the information there is going to be critical for her to find out who she was.
Mm-hmm.
Because the information's not down in Iron City.
Or maybe even not there. In the manga, for instance, she doesn't actually really start finding out about herself until she gets up to Catheres in the manga. When she starts involving herself in the ladder. So it could be that she'll find out some things in Zalem, but that knowledge will end up propelling her even higher.
Yeah, it was probably like she just got clues in Zalem.
Mm-hmm.
She probably learned a little in Zalem, but then she gets some clues, and then, of course, then she goes up to Jeru. I think it's fighting the Zot, or whatever. So, yeah. So, yeah, is Zalem the final gatekeeper? No, it's not, but it's going to be a pretty important one because there'll probably be. I think that's where the MIB and the GIB they're in Zalem. So, I think it's Zalem, isn't it? If I remember correctly. And then
the MIB and the GIB, they were in Zalem.
Yeah, so she'll get some pretty good information there once she gets there. But yeah, she'll find out later that no, this is not everything.
In fact, I think those two organizations were specific to Zalem because of what Zalem was in the manga. At least it was basically a laboratory for the societies further up the space elevator.
Yes. So
they were designed to basically keep Zalem in sort of a check as that laboratory.
Yeah. Well, they probably, I mean, people living today, like now, if Zalem was a real place in the future, I think people today, at least in the more like urban areas, like in the US and Australia and Europe and stuff like that, I think they would probably get along better in Zalem than they would down in Iron City. That's my opinion. I think we did a stream on that. How, would you survive in Iron City, if you were teleported up there, or done some kind of time traveling. So, and I bring that up because probably what happens there, if you remember that Ito and Shirin did have a daughter up there. So that tells me, at least in the movie verse, not so much in the in the manga, because the manga, the kids were treated differently.
Yes, childbirth and child rearing was different.
Yeah, we'll just.
It seems like based on what we heard about Shirin and Ito, it was more almost traditional from the sound of it. Basically, a mother and a father having a child.
Well, I mean, you were raised in the manga. It's just that the actual process by which you were conceived was by the DNA organ. You still were raised by your parents.
Well, you were assigned parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that part here is that how far the movie goes off is how is Dusty Nova supposed to be a father? I don't know. Because part of that was because he was kicked out of Zalem and he didn't care about the fact that he became a father because he was in rebellion. He didn't care about going by the old traditions anymore.
Yeah, he did not. Matter of fact, I think he barely acknowledged the fact he was a father, didn't he, Chaos, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, he didn't quite act like it, but...
Yeah. But anyway, I could see in the movie verse, that part of it, not the manga, but I could see them setting up Zalem, the society in Zalem, being in some ways similar to what we have here today in urban areas, in larger cities where, the parents send their kids off to school, people maybe go to work or something, who knows. So I think, to me, Zalem, at least in the movie verse, would be more civilized than down in Iron City. Iron City has got some level of civilization, but it's very corrupt. Survival is something that, is going to be something you're going to have to be really good at to survive. To live
they struggle to survive day-to-day life.
Yes.
Hey,
Whereas
if
in
a blind
Zalem,
guy can survive the Badlands, you can too.
Yeah, that's true, But I don't think you're faced with that.
Not a normal blind guy, but a blind guy.
Yeah, a blind guy.
Yeah, I was about to say, it depends on what that blind guy's capabilities are.
Yeah.
Well, Kios is blind. I told you.
He's also extremely capable for a blind guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got some superhuman capabilities.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like that psychometry he has too. That he touches something, he learns everything about that thing, plus who's used it.
Well, he's used to being blind. Let's just say that, but he has the cane for the blindness part. So yeah.
Yeah, but I could see people in Zalem in the movie verse. I could see them, pretty much like people today. I mean, they're living in like big cities or something like that. They would, just be doing the same thing. Whereas in Iron City it would be different.
Yeah.
The schools in Iron City aren't so hot, and you don't have a social safety net of any kind in Iron City. You just think for yourself. So anyway. Okay, I guess moving on, unless anybody's got any other thoughts.
I have a thought. I have to go.
Okay.
It's quite late. I'm really sleepy, so
see you later, Vlad.
I should be on tomorrow.
Okay, there, Vladdy.
Have a good one.
Have a good one. Yeah, have a good night.
Gotcha, Vlad.
Okay, well, Zalem, there's probably a lot of myth and legend about Zalem. People live in Iron City and the surrounding area. They have these, as we say, preconceived notions that they've dreamed up about what Zalem is. But what really Zalem is, of course, is it's a kind of a city or some setup, for control over the people on the surface to provide them with, products, that they can, like food and that sort of thing. And maybe some rudimentary technology or something like that, And then, of course, the way it sits, I mean, if you look at Zalem, it's kind of intimidating, isn't it? I mean, if you're somebody that's, I mean, it's awe-inspiring, basically, is what it is.
I think the movie version is actually more impressive looking than the comic book version.
I think
because it's just got this design that's kind of a little ominous looking.
Yeah. Paradise. I think that's what some people think of it as, AKA paradise. Oh, well, let me do something because there might be somebody that maybe wants to join us. Let me put the link in the chat. I forgot about it. I got so busy running my mouth. So anyway, if anybody wants to come on, there's the link. You can come on and talk with us if you want. So there it is. Just click on it and I'll bring you in. Yeah, this image of Zalem right here is an artist's conception, of course. But yeah, it's it's more impressive looking, isn't it, than I guess what's in the manga. I mean, the aesthetic itself is similar. You know, obviously it's a city that's above the scrapyard and all that kind of stuff, but it's kind of awe-inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that, you know, pretty much that Zalem is in charge just by looking at this. You know, if you saw something like this, like you're approaching Iron City, you know, maybe you got business there or something like that, and maybe you're from another part of the planet, you finally happen upon upon Zalem. One of the first things you'd see from a very long distance away, you would see this thing in the air like that. You'd say,
oh, just to give a bit of a idea of how far away you'd be able to see it, I actually looked up the visibility, or the general visibility, of something about 5 miles across, like a floating city.
okay.
It's about 2 miles up in the air.
Yeah.
Assuming you're at sea level.
Yeah.
It's generally going to be about 203 kilometers or 126 miles away. So you'll be able to see it for a very long way away.
And it would be.
Now, especially at night, if it's lit up.
Yes.
I mean, that would be really impressive looking.
It would be, and from a very far distance too, it would look something like some aircraft, wouldn't it? Until you
or like a giant UFO if the
yeah.
Space elevator there. If it were at night and it's like, you know, you don't see it.
It's a flying saucer. Oh my God. Yeah.
Well, if you take the space elevator, it almost looks like one of those massive ships from Independence Day.
Yeah. And not till you got up closer, of course. But when you did get up closer, I think you would figure out, you would have this kind of a guttural sense that, yeah, whoever runs this place is up in that sky city, not down on the surface, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, you know, this is the controlling, you know, factor around this area for sure.
Yeah.
You know,
that is the local power.
Yeah, and the people that are running Zalem, they don't mind the fact that it's mysterious like this, and that it, you know, it inspires awe, or it, you know, or kind of you know that fear creep in among the inhabitants.
It helps keep the dregs on the surface below in line.
And in line, exactly. So, you know, and they probably don't care if people think they're heaven or hell, as long as they can maintain control. You know.
Yeah, the only thing it seems that they care about in Zalem is whether or not the supply lines continue flowing from Iron City, because the only purpose Iron City serves is to supply them.
Yes. Which one thing it struck me, I remember the first time I saw this, and I saw these supply tubes, and they had all this control. I thought, you know, a really competent military would be able to defeat Zalem pretty easy. All they'd have to do is take out the supply tubes and starve them out.
Yeah.
You know, now I don't know what they got up in Jeru, you know, but I can't imagine. I would think that the supply tubes, they would send stuff up to Zalem, and then of course a lot of that stuff would end up going up to Jeru up in the space elevator.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to attack this thing, if you were like a general or something like that,
well, that is if you had the time to wage a siege, because that's what it would become. You'd have to wage a siege in order to wear down their supplies if they've got any kind of stockpile.
Yes.
For instance, then you have to basically cut off the supply lines and force them to go through that stockpile.
Yes.
But if they've got any real defenses, the second you do that, they may put those defenses into play, and then you may run out of time.
Yeah. Well, not only that, if you attack the supply lines too, they may be, well, I guess since in the movie, since that one supply tube was cut, you know, the way it did, and it was just cut by something metal, you know, I mean, it would seem to me that a really competent military could just cut all the supply lines, you know.
Well, they would also have to be not worried about civilian casualties too.
Yeah.
Well,
because
not
that supply
necessarily.
tube coming down is going to be damaging everything under it.
Yes.
They had a tower in Star City. In the manga, they self-destructed the tower connecting to the ground so that you couldn't get up to it. So they used explosives, and whoever was in there, well, too bad. They had to sacrifice them to cut off any access to the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a similar thing with the movie verse. The backstory they gave for that one is during the war between Mars and Earth, the plague that was unleashed on Earth, they ended up cutting the tower connection between Zalem and the city below
Yeah.
to prevent the infection from spreading up into Zalem.
Yep. But I think you could take Zalem out if you had the resources and you could lay a siege to them for some protracted period of time. You could eventually starve them out, but it would be a long time, I think, because they probably have a pretty good cache,
Yeah, it would take a while.
Yeah.
But you'd also have to be able to contend with whatever defenses Zalem's got. And from what we see in the manga, at least,
even before
they've got
then,
significant defenses.
You'd have your own people on the surface, and they'd be like, "Well, I don't want to, go lose all my possessions, essentially have poverty, to just try and outstarve Zalem."
Well, no, I was talking about a military that's not from this.
Yeah.
If it was, I mean, of course, they didn't have a lot, I guess, because if you remember from.
Well, I was curious, why would they be losing all of their stuff on the surface?
Well, I'm not saying that. It's just there are things that could happen. Some of the value could be because you trade it with Zalem, and now you have excess. Now, of course, you'd have to set up something to store excess food, like dehydrate it so it doesn't spoil, which is doable. But you'd have to really prepare it and really do an organized preparation beforehand.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Once you cut the supply lines to Zalem, if you succeed in doing it in the first place, everything the factory produces goes to you then.
Yes,
it doesn't go to Zalem.
Doesn't go to Zalem, right.
You get everything the factory produces after that. And Zalem gets nothing.
Now, the thing about that, too, though, is now you'd have to cut the supply tubes, but if the people in Iron City revolted and tried to, starve out the people in Zalem, then whatever military they have up in Zalem, they could just send them down to the surface and bring them to heal.
Oh, they don't even have to do that. That's why they've got the military with the factory.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, nobody's got any kinds of real firearms or firepower in the city. Yeah. They're all basically under the thumb of the factory, not even of Zalem, just the factory.
Yeah, but I think an army, not of this area, if an army was to attack them and decided, well, okay, their defense is so great, I can't shoot down Zalem, given that they wouldn't care about the people in Iron City, but they say, okay, we can't take them out like that, but what we can do is we can cut those supply tubes and starve them out. And you would have to be set up, because of that one thing, an army like that could, they could commandeer the farms and stuff like that, and they would have plenty of food, I would think.
Well, that's the thing. Also, you'd have to do is keep all the logistical supply lines and everything in place and operational up to the factory.
Yeah.
Because at that point is when you cut the continuation up to Zalem. Yeah. Because that way you've got the factory still producing everything they normally produce. It just doesn't go to Zalem anymore.
Yeah. Which is why I think in the movie, when the was attacking these cities, they were sending a squad up the supply tube. To me, that, now I don't know what's behind that, but to me, that seemed like a bad decision, because you don't know what you're facing. There's an old thing in The Art of War, by Sun Tzu, that if you know your enemy if you know yourself as well as you know your enemy, or vice versa, then you need not fear the outcome of 100 battles. So it seems to me they didn't have very good intelligence, for when they sent up squads up supply tubes, because.
Well, they managed to take out all the other cities except for the one that Nova was on.
Yeah.
So I think that was the deciding factor. Whatever Nova did to amp up the defenses of Zalem might have been the only thing that kept it up.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think I kind of got off the beaten track there, but it's a kind of an interesting take on it, So, but anyway, I think Zalem is literally no more than a control point. If you remember from the I guess from the extras, that was in the DVD, I guess, Zalem actually did help the people on the surface, giving them technology and medical aid and stuff like that. But with the idea that, okay, we're going to help you here, but you are going to, supply us with what we need. We're going to, I think that was the understanding. So anyway.
Yeah, it could be. It might have started out as a more mutually beneficial arrangement, but as time marched on, it became much more one-sided.
Yeah, I think
eventually
so.
It got to the point where
it was a launch platform for going into space.
Yeah.
But however, the launch was canceled. So at this point, Zalem is essentially stagnant, and the surface are stagnant relative to what they were.
I think in
because
the movie
the project was thwarted.
Well, I think in the movie verse, the quality of life in Zalem is going to be better than it was in Iron City. Now, as we saw in the manga, it wasn't that big a difference. I mean,
actually, in the manga, it seemed like it was still a big difference between the two. It's just that you saw the Civil War happening.
Yeah, I guess that's right. Yeah.
I mean, before that, you seem to have a very stable, sort of very well-regulated, regimented society.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Nova happened, and, well, everything got thrown into chaos.
Yep. Okay. Any other thoughts about this?
Nothing comes to mind.
Well, of course, Alita's. Oh, go ahead, Chaos.
No, it's just that it's one of those interesting things when you look at post-apocalyptic fiction. Like, are you really, as the storyteller, as the reader, are you really looking for a progress or an advancement from that status of being, lawless and being disorderly compared to how you were in the past? It's interesting because I was watching it was on TV. It was has anyone heard of Jericho, the TV series?
Yes.
So after the nuclear weapon, the town is like basically anarchy, and they're trying to fix and build a bigger society from that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. And it felt like in this TV series Jericho, from what I saw, they were trying to build a bigger society than just being just a city-state of Jericho.
Okay. Well, anyway, in terms of Alita's relationship to Zalem, now that first item there in ignorance, that plays to the fact that when she wakes up, Ito finds her in the scrapyard. She wakes up in the bedroom, and then she finally comes out and she goes, "Whoa, what's that?" Looking up at Zalem. She had no clue what that was. What holds it up? Magic? No, that's something more powerful. Engineering. So she didn't know what was up there, and then of course eventually she becomes kind of curious about it, because especially when Hugo tells her, that Doc found you in the scrapyard, and she shakes her head yes, then you must be from up there, and then she looks up at it, and I think that right there is the key point at which she starts thinking about what is up there for sure. And then of course the confrontation itself, I mean, she will view it as a final obstacle, I guess, to get up there to try to figure out who she is. Now, I think what she will ultimately find out is that, okay, she will learn a few things about this, but it's going to bring up more questions than answers. And she's going to need to get up to Jeru. And that's, of course, is what we see in the manga. We see that she's basically, she goes up there, certainly fights in the Zot and that kind of thing, But I think, as she continues this journey, she goes from Iron City to Zalem to Jeru to eventually goes to Venus, back to Mars and all that. She's got to, as she goes to each individual place, she finds out more and more about herself. And of course, if you've read, chapter, Angelus will get on me because I haven't read chapter 10 yet, but she finds out, that her real name is Yoko, or at least originally her name was Yoko, not Alita, you know, so, and then she just finds out more and more about herself as she goes to these different places. So I think her relationship to Zalem, when she's in Iron City, she sees that as the target. But when she gets up there, which she does get up there in the manga, of course, she's going to find out, well, okay, but I don't have all my answers here. I got to go up to Jeru, you know, and so forth. So anyway, thoughts about that, you guys?
Blanking a bit, I'm afraid.
I mean, I reached Jeru. Well, never mind. Not that Jeru. I mean, in Martian Memory, but yeah, I'll return to that.
Or Catheris, rather.
Yeah. I mean, it's either, depending on how the resources are for making films, it's either going to be the ending if they're short on resources, and or it's going to be the halfway point. They have plenty. The big thing I can see is people are going to be making AI videos of Alita, because as of right now, there have been Stranger Things, The Boys, and so on, where people are making different AI endings of those series than what they actually got.
Yeah. Well, I do know that James. I read somewhere that James Cameron and I guess Robert Rodriguez were going to get together and shoot some kind of, I don't know what kind of film they were going to shoot or what kind of story video or something. They were going to use a lot of AI in it. You know, and I'm
just saying that people are fan filming right now, even in short videos.
Well, you know,
alternate endings. So I could see people AI videoing Alita, even if it's not Hollywood.
They're doing these AI videos, you know, things like Superman versus Homelander and Hulk versus Homelander and, you know, stuff like that, you know, Doctor Strange versus Pinhead, that kind of stuff. They're using AI for that, you know, so. But I think that James Cameron Rodriguez, from what I read, it was almost like they were shooting some kind of what I would think would be like a proof of concept that they could use AI effectively.
That's what I was going to say. It sounded like they were going to try and just throw something together to see what they could come up with, see how well it worked.
Yeah, they're going to shoot this in 30 days or to produce it in 30 days, not shoot it necessarily. So anyway, I think what Alita is going to find out, you know, when she gets to Zalem, and we see this in the manga, so it's not a big secret, but you know, it's kind of like that second item there. To her, it's like another piece in the puzzle. And when she's down in Iron City, she thinks, I got to get up to Zalem and figure out who I am. Then she gets up there and says, okay, I've learned a little bit, but I don't have all my answers. I got to go further. You know, I think that's what she's going to find out. You know, that, you know, Zalem is not going to be an end in itself. It's going to be a means to an end.
Well, based just on what Grishka was saying in the movie, it seems like that's going to be one of the sort of themes, I guess, that they, you know, play into a bit in the later movies they were planning on.
Yes. Okay, moving on. Okay, now tomorrow, you know, and we're not going to talk about that here because I don't want to step on Radio Chaos's toes. But the question tomorrow is going to be, will Alita reach Zalem, you know, particularly in Alita 2, you know, and I have my thoughts about that. I'm going to hold that, you know, until tomorrow. But I think the question that I think maybe that needs to be asked is, should Alita reach Zalem? What do you think, Lee? Should she go to Zalem?
No, absolutely. She should have eventually in some way get there so she can start her journey up into the wider worlds above.
Yeah. What do you think, Angelus?
Oh, sorry, I was just away from the computer. What was the question?
Well, should Alita, you know, instead of will Alita reach Zalem, should she reach Zalem? Lee said yes, because it's kind of necessary for her to continue her journey and learn who she is, that kind of stuff. So.
Oh, yes. I mean, she's got to finish what she started.
Yeah. Of course, initially she started with the idea that, you know, destroy Zalem, you know. What do you think, Chaos?
I'd say yes. Either it's at the end or it's at the middle of the saga. And I'm going to give people a little guide on how to get Martian Memory playing so they can play the game to get to Zalem if they don't see a movie, or whether we see a movie or not.
Yeah. Well, I think she should reach Zalem as well. Now, I don't think she's going to learn everything she needs to know when she gets to Zalem. I think it's going to be a stepping stone, but I do think she should go to Zalem. Now, how it works out with the sequels, I'm going to hold that back for tomorrow, you know, because that's where we're going to be talking about it. So I think we all agree that she should reach Zalem.
Yeah. I think her getting there would be, like you were saying, a stepping stone up into the wider worlds above.
Yeah. Well, what happens to the myth of Zalem once Alita gets there?
Well, that will probably mainly be something that affects her, because unless she can somehow communicate what she experiences down to the people below, it's probably not going to affect them at all.
Yeah.
I mean, in the manga, at least, she doesn't communicate any of that to them from what I remember.
Yeah. I think they do see her competing in the Zot.
Yes.
They see that, but that was on Jeru. It wasn't.
Yeah, it's when she got past all the other stuff on Zalem, and she got up the ladder, up the space elevator.
But I think what happens, and you guys step in and correct me if I'm wrong, but once she gets to Zalem, you know, you might have these ideas, you know, about an individual. You know, let's say your only contact with an individual is somebody that you talk to on the phone. That's it. You form a kind of a mental picture in your mind, you know, about what that person may look like as an example. You know, you might. And then maybe one day you meet them in person and your mental image of them doesn't match what you meet, you know, when you see them. Yeah. So what I think is what happens to this whole myth that maybe even Alita has, as just being nowhere but down in Iron City, the myth is gonna get washed away by reality. So she's gonna see what Zalem is really, not just what people think of it or what even she thought of it. So it'll be like a realization to her, I think. And of course, she's going to discover some stuff about herself when she gets there. So any thoughts about that, you guys?
I think that about covers it. I mean, you're going to have your own sort of ideas about something, and if you just hear about it, and then when you see it, it's probably going to change your perspective on it a bit.
My concern is how well could an audience handle the way the manga does it, which is you get told little bits, but you don't actually get to see it.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to change that up, because even if they made Alita a 3-hour movie, and maybe they made Alita 3, and that was a 3-hour movie, the manga is vast. They're not going to be able to get all that stuff, you know. I mean, they're not going to be able to treat it the same. They're going to have to reveal a little bit more in the movie than they would in the manga, I think.
Well, that's one of the things that Rodriguez had to do when he agreed to take on the project, was he had to cut down the script that Cameron had written.
Yes.
So yeah, there's going to be things are going to be changed up quite a bit. Going to have to.
He cut it down from 800 pages to 200, didn't he, or something like that?
Something like that. It was a significant reduction from what Cameron had. Yeah,
because I remember when Cameron was interviewed, he said that, you know, when he found out that Robert Rodriguez had cut it down to 200 pages, oh my God, he took out everything I wanted and all that. He started reading through. He said, "Oh no, this is great," that kind of thing, you know. So yeah. So yeah, I think Alita's going to realize once she gets to Zalem, it's going to be reality shaping right there. It's not. In other words, her preconceived notions are going to be, you know, changed, you know, or you know, kind of overtaken by events, as they would say. And of course, that will set her up to go to Jeru, because she probably, she might have had some similar ideas about Jeru, and she said, well, this was so different here in Zalem, it's probably going to be similar up in Jeru or something like that, So, among the people on the ground, of course, Zalem to them can be, for some, it can be a dream, like Hugo. I want to get up there because things are better up in Zalem, and the things up there are better than that dump down here,
Mm-hmm.
And then of course they realize the truth. If they ever do get to Zalem, they do actually see the truth about what Zalem really is. But for most people on the ground, it's kind of it's unreachable, isn't it? I mean, in other words, it's like, you're not ever going to get up there. As Vector said, there's only one way anyone ever gets to Zalem.
Well, in the manga, it took years for them to finally start getting that connection rebuilt up there. And that was only after after the Zot, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was being worked on, but Zalem fell partway down.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it says for Alita there, it's the final mirror. Okay, I think you could say it's a final mirror in that she sees the reality of it and not just her preconceived notion. Now, I don't think it's a final mirror because she's not going to learn everything she needs to learn about herself just by going to Zalem. She has to go to Jeru, then to Venus, then to Mars, and so forth. Jupiter, she's got to go to these other places to finally, get the information she needs, or, kind of realize, about where her place is and all of the planetary society, or whatever you want to call it. So what is this? She's good at shattering stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she is. She's extremely good at that. So yeah, I don't know if it's a mirror, then maybe she shatters it, I guess. Yeah, that's right. It does say must shatter or ascend. So I think the ascend part is going to be where she has to go with that. She's going to have to go beyond Zalem, to really, continue her journey, I think. You guys agree with that? Or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think so as well.
That's why I want 8 more movies, because 3 is enough to get her to the jumping off point. Then after that, she's got to get up into orbit and beyond.
Well, so 3 movies would be enough to whet my appetite, and then I'm going to want to see 5 more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I think we all agreed on this. I kind of figured we would. So in terms of what Zalem is not the end of Alita's journey. It's just the beginning for her, where she awakens to herself. She figures out, she starts getting a realistic picture of who she was, and who she is, for that matter. Because if you remember in the manga, when she starts out in Iron City, when Ito finds her, whether you go with the manga or you go with the movie, she's kind of a teenager. She's 14 years old. By the time she gets up to Jeru to fight Nazat, she's 35 years old. 20 years has gone by, and of course 10 of that years was in the Badlands, in which Kashiro didn't write anything about it. We just know that 10 years passed. So yeah, she's by the time she gets up to Jeru, she's a woman, she's not a teenage girl anymore, so anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, that's all I got. So what's y'all's thoughts about this?
I think it covers things pretty good, I think.
It's interesting. Hey, anyone can just let me know if they want to. I've got the presentations. I could present them that way, or Creek could get them. Just let me know what future topics could be.
Okay. You have anything you want to put in a private chat there, Chaos, that you might want? We don't have a big.
I'll think about it next week.
Okay. We don't have a big audience right now, but most of the views I get on these streams are after because most of my audience is in Asia, so
Well, I know I'm not getting much audience in live streams either. It's.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand people have their choices, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe an episode could be. See, I could show. Actually, I wouldn't mind showing a quick preview if I'll get this thing up here.
Okay.
Part of it. It's not. I think it's. Let me see. Alita the.
You don't have any copyright on it, do you, Chaos?
No, it's a slideshow.
Oh, okay.
My video might, but I'm gonna get it. Make sure to have the file format right. No, not this one. But no, I was gonna show you the one on the mutants, and we could do it as a topic later.
Okay.
But I
Well,
should have it as here it is. I'm gonna get it as PDF, and that should. Come on. PDF. Actually, I'll do a screen share, so I don't have to upload the whole thing.
Sure.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to apologize. I got to head off.
All right, Lee. Well, thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Here we go. Here it is. So, first part, the mutants.
Yeah. Okay.
Individual organisms with an altered genome. In the universe of Marvel Comics or Battle Angel Alita, the altered genome grants mutants with altered genome special abilities. Many societies in Battle Angel Alita do not tolerate mutants due to fear, laws of genetic purity, or in some cases a genuine type of danger posed by the mutant in question. Similar to X-Men from Marvel Comics, the fundamental ideological conflict is Yeah,
okay. All right.
So this is them.
Yeah.
So that's just part of it, but yeah.
Okay, cool.
So it's there.
Are you going to do a stream on this, Chaos, or you want to do that stream here?
I could.
Okay. All right, well, let's move on. I guess, did we miss anything, you guys? I don't think so. As you can see from that center panel right there, Alita does love her Uncle Creek. And that's because he wants a sequel, just like she does. And I want 8 sequels, really. And if you got a problem with her loving her Uncle Creek, then you can take it up with her and face that plasma weapon yourself. So here's our queen right here. And of course, Rosa is #1 in the Creek's book in terms of being an actor. You know, she is just superb. Man, I am really looking forward to seeing her in that play in London coming up. And yeah, that's right, Angelus. Ooh woo, that's right. Plenty of ooh woo there, that's for sure. Also want to give shout outs to El Lamont and Jesse Fisher because they brought Screwhead to life. And what I want to see Alita and Screwhead team up or get on the same team and basically, you know, take on Joshigon. Now, I figure what they're going to probably do in the sequel when they get to the motorball match is they'll probably Alita and Joshigon will both have teams. You know, I don't know if they'll make Joshigon, if they'll make him Emperor Joshigon or not. I kind of hope they do because it would be closer to the manga. But if they don't, they both have teams. And of course, as Elle says, you know, Screwhead's pretty pissed off about what's happened and she's been played and all that kind of stuff. And she goes up to Alita and says, I'm with you, girl. Let's just burn it all down. So I loved that. So, you know, and Elle's been in some pretty good stuff too. I've seen some of her work and she's a really good actor herself. And of course, Elle says Jessie is the most badass stunt woman she's ever worked with. So pretty high praise right there. But I think all 3 of these deserve to be in that sequel for sure. So come on, Disney, give it to us. Tomorrow on Radio Chaos, it's going to be kind of a similar thing to what we talked about, except not so much the underlying, you know, basis for Alita getting into Zalem, but will Alita make it to Zalem in Alita 2 in the sequel? So we're going to have a discussion about that tomorrow. So, you know, kind of join us for that. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. And if you guys want to come talk to us after the stream here, you know, I'm going to put a link in the chat right now. You just click on this link and I'll bring you in. I'll do it after the stream is over, so you don't have to worry about being on the stream. And of course, there's only a couple of folks out there, so maybe we won't have much of a after party. But if you want to come say hi to us, just click on that link and I'll bring you in. We are the Alita Army. We are the most positive fandom on the internet, and we support Alita and Rosa passionately and positively. And we are here to stay. We want to keep Alita current. We want to see those sequels. We want to see more anime. We want to see some live action series, merch, games, you name it, we want it. So if Disney, when you get ready to greenlight this sequel, let 20th Century Studios do it. You'll get our money. That's for sure. You'll make money on this, because when Alita 1 came out, there was no Alita Army. There is an Alita Army now, and it is pretty vast. I believe there's over 1 million people in the Alita Army. Now, I've only got like 300,000 or more, a little over 300,000 subscribers on my channel, but I think that just scratches the surface. I think there's a lot more people in the Alita Army, and a lot more people that would want to see a sequel. So come on, Disney, give it to us. Why is that image there? Well, that image is there because I like it and I'm running the stream. And to paraphrase Gruishka, I'm only here for our girl and our queen and the Alita Army. So that only leaves us with one thing left to do, and that would be, on my count of 3, the call to action. 1, 2, 3.
Film those sequels, baby.
So we will see you tomorrow on Radio Chaos, and we'll see you next week on the Alita live stream. Bye.
What's up, Alita Army? This is Hot Toys Alita, and I hope you enjoyed this week's Alita live stream. Please join my Uncle Creek, Angelus, and our other guests for next week's show. Remember, I do not stand by in the presence of evil, and film those sequels, baby. See you next time.
No cause is lost, if there is but one fool left to fight for it.
Yeah, Gary, that'd be nice.